Hello, everybody. My name is Sandy Frank, and this is the first edition of my, let's call it a podcast, uh, YouTube video series, channel. For the time being, we'll just call it a podcast. And I guess this will specifically, though it's not my intention for this to solely be, but a political podcast. So this is the introduction to my political podcast. As for me, my political perspective is that of a communist, that as a Hegelian Marxist or a dialectical materialist. I, but just because my opinions are communist, that doesn't mean that this is a solely Marxist political podcast. I want this to be known solely as an objective news podcast and a political debate and discussion podcast. I was inspired largely to do this. I've been politically active for, the good part of my life, a large part of my life. I'm 25 years old. Actually, today's my birthday, so I'm 25 today. But I've been politically active my entire life, but I've never actually done anything with YouTube or political videos. Yeah, until I was inspired by her YouTube channel name is Sane Progressive, Debbie Lusignan. She has inspired me to start my own political podcast where I can give my own opinions, where I can have more of a voice in my political system and reach out to more people and be able to create political action. But what Debbie, the Sane Progressive, calls for a lot in her videos is a people's movement, and that's exactly why I don't want to call this podcast a Marxist political podcast, even though this podcast will be hosted by and have a lot of discussion about Marxist politics, Marxist ideology. But that is not my objective. I want to bring together conservatives, libertarians, anarchists, communists, liberals, progressives, independents, whatever you may be. I want to, bring all the ideas to the podcast. So when Debbie talks about a people's movement, she's really talking about a coalition of people that can come together to help combat the real menace that we have before us on January 30th, 2017. I think it's clear that, even though of course it was always clear what kind of world we lived in under Barack Obama, I'm no fan of Barack Obama, and as this podcast progresses, you will discover that. But and it's not just Trump inspiring me to do this right now. It's never just Trump. It is the establishment system, the establishment government of the two-party stranglehold system of the Democrats and the Republicans, just basically using our corrupt corporate fascist media to put like a the Super Bowl in front of our eyes instead of giving us the issues. And if we got the issues, if the news media was actually doing what it was supposed to be doing, the Democrats and the Republicans would be supremely fucked. But because we have a corporate fascist media, this game just goes on and on and on. Now it's the never Trumpers. It was the never Obama people for 8 years, and now I guess we're gonna get the never Trump people for 8 years. Just fake progressive people who watch MSNBC and listen to NPR and read the New York Times, who will just kind of use our media to have a little Reds versus Blues hate off, which is really what's going on here. The media refuses to cover Trump in any real way. They'll talk about his crowd size and they'll talk about his hands, but they don't do their jobs to actually get at the things that are wrong with Trump. And the reason they don't do that is because they have the same problems. The Democrats and their mouthpieces in the corporate media, they are corporate fascists and they have no intention of helping the people. And that's exactly why we need an actual alternative party, and it will be this people's movement that we're going to build together with libertarians and progressives and conservatives and anarchists and Republicans and Democrats and ex-Democrats and independents and all of your ideologies, because what we really want to do with the people's movement is just that. Is we want to retake our democracy, or at least we want to create some form of democracy that's been stolen from us by the corporate fascists to come to some sort of common ground. So the corporate media just can't keep dividing us up and dividing us up and dividing us up. So this is what this political podcast will be dedicated to. It will be a people's movement directed at ending the corporate fascist stranglehold of the Obamas and the Clintons and the Bushes and the Paul Ryans and the Donald Trumps and all of these people. There's many things we need to do in the way of creating that change. Getting money out of politics is one thing. Getting transparency from our government is another thing. Our election systems are completely fraudulent. Our media is completely bought and sold for. Our government is bought and sold for. We're killing people in 8 different countries. We're at war with 8. I say 8. People say 7, but Pakistan is a country, and we've been murdering people there with outside of the law for how many years now? We've been in Pakistan for a long time, so I say 8 wars. We're killing people in 8 countries for profit. I won't get into that. I'll do a separate video on our U.S. foreign policy, but obviously we have a lot of on our plate as a people's movement. And that's exactly why we need to start coming together, and why more people need to start voicing their opinions and trying to get people together. But yes, so just to sum it up one more time, this is a podcast for political discussion from the entire spectrum, directed at taking back our democracy, because it's a fact. The United States is no longer a democracy. This has been proven by the Princeton study and by many other studies out there. This is not new information, that we do not live in any set definition of the word democracy. We don't live in any form of that. We live in an oligarchy. We live in a kleptocracy. We live in a corporate fascist state. And something needs to be done about it. When people say, like, oh, how can you say that we don't live in a democracy? You know, these people are denying facts. It's even even people like John Podesta, people like John Podesta. John Podesta is an unctuous goblin. John Podesta is terrible, and in the WikiLeaks John Podesta emails, published by WikiLeaks and Julian Assange, who we will be great fans of on this political podcast, or at least I will be. In my opinion, Julian Assange is a hero, and John Podesta needs to go to jail. But I'll do a separate video on WikiLeaks and the Podestas in a different email, in a different video, sorry. But just to get back to my point I was making about John Podesta. John Podesta wrote in one of those emails about that Princeton study showing that we don't live in a democracy. And John Podesta, in the email, he's snarkily talking to someone like, okay, oh, of course we knew this. Like, we really needed he was saying something like, we really needed a Princeton study to prove this. Like, it is a known fact. Even by the top 1% of the top 1%. Even about people like Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and John Podesta and Donald Trump and Paul Ryan, they all know this. They're not dummies. These people are not stupid. Just because all of their supporters, Hillary Clinton supporters and Donald Trump supporters, even though the great vast majority of those people are complete idiots, the people who are controlling them and brainwashing them with corporate fascist media and sheepdogging them everywhere, the people doing this, they know what they're doing. John Podesta knows what he's doing. He wants to preserve the oligarchy, and he wants to manipulate people into working for his corporate fascist interests. And so that needs to be our goal. These people are our enemies: the corporate fascist state, and the establishment, Democratic Party, Republican Party government that is preserving these monsters who are hoarding all the wealth and poisoning people, killing people, bombing 8 countries, murdering millions of people in illegal warfare for profit for almost 2 decades. It's very quickly 2 decades of perpetual warfare in the Middle East will be upon us. And if you think you're some safe American who's ambivalent to all these things and it doesn't affect you, let me tell you, my friend, in all of history, you don't wage 20 years of perpetual warfare without repercussions. The United States needs to realize, even if it won't, stop Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump on a moral level, you need to understand this is going to come back to bite you, especially to the young people in the country. All these Hillary Clinton supporters who are in their 20s and in their teens, you have your whole life ahead of you. America is going downhill, and your life is about to not become what it was when your rich mommy and daddy were providing for you. The ramifications of what we've done, murdering millions of innocent people, innocent children, people don't forget that. Just because we have a corporate fascist media that plays happy smiley programs and the Kardashians, and we're brainwashed into not thinking about what we're doing to these 8 countries, it doesn't mean that it doesn't make those things go away. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. And so when this comes back to bite us, if you can't even see this on a moral level, this will come back to bite you. Your life will not be the way it was for the beginning of your life when you were rich with your mommy and daddy and the United States was on top of the world. It's just not sustainable. But we'll go more into foreign policy and what we should be doing in another video. I just want to continue the introduction. I'll tell you a little bit about me, Sandy Frank. I have, what are my qualifications to be talking about politics? Not many, so I'll just explain myself and give a little background about myself in this next part. So I have a Master of Fine Arts, an MFA in media studies. So I have an MFA in media studies, not journalism, but I definitely learned a lot about journalism in my time of schooling. So I have an MFA in media studies from Long Island University, Brooklyn, and I also have a bachelor's in English. So my political, I guess I'll just kind of tell you about my story of my life, about how I got into politics, how I've really just always been fascinated with politics. So I was 9 years old on September 11th, 2001. 9 years old, living in New York. My family all lives in the New York area, New York City, Long Island, and so my cousin, on September 11th, 2001, my cousin was killed in the event. We'll talk about the event very shortly. I'll give you my opinion on all of that, and see how many of you will still stick with this podcast. But on September 11th, 2001, my cousin Tommy Ashton was killed. He was a 21-year-old kid. He was 21 years old. He was really the nicest person I've ever met. I think when you're a kid, people have to be really special for you to remember them, especially when you're very young. Like, he was 9 years old. I was 9 years old when he died. He was 21. He was really the nicest person I ever met. He was just such a nice guy, such a nice person, such a nice family member, always a very selfless person, really always wanted to help people wherever he could. Really, he was just all around a great guy, always trying to make people happy. And he was killed on his first day at work as an electrician when he was 21 years old. It was his first day at work, September 11th, 2001, when he was killed. He was actually, his story is amazing. He was actually found when in the wreckage in the event. He was found with firefighters who had stayed behind to help people. So my cousin Tommy Ashton, he's the definition of a hero. He wasn't involved with the fire department, but he stayed behind to help people, and he was killed. And when you're 9 years old, that could have an effect on you. So and this is everyone who is not even September 11th. This is just the way our world is. It's a terrible, horrible place that brings people into, and of course not only September 11th. Our country is bombing 8 countries. Imagine what 9-year-olds in all of those 8 countries who experience our bombs grow up with. But so my opinion, or my political journey, I guess, began with September 11th. So from after September 11th, we of course saw the drumbeat of war, the death to brown people, basically. And so I guess I'll just give my opinion on September 11th right now. This is something I've been inspired by Sane Progressive Debbie. She's inspired me to, in any political discussion that you have, to no longer be afraid and no longer to be bullied into what is fact, which is the fact that the United States government was behind the September 11th attacks. Those were controlled demolitions. There was not a fucking terrorist in the country when they blew up those buildings. You know, they flew they flew military planes into the buildings. They had advanced demolition technology in the buildings. You've never seen a clear one of those planes going into the buildings, and you've never, of course you see the explosions. It wasn't even a convincing psychological operation. You see the buildings exploding. You see the explosives going off. So, of course, it was perpetrated by the CIA and the deep state government and the United States government. And, of course, there was a massive collusion with the media and basically... And so, just so you understand, this is... And I'll do more videos on 9/11 Truth. I just want people to know, going into this podcast, that it might not be the podcast for you, or it might be, if you want videos about 9/11 Truth, which I will be doing, thanks to the bravery of people like Debbie Lusignan and Sane Progressive. Her channel, she's not afraid to say what she believes, and so neither am I. But continuing, after September 11th, of course the drumbeat of war, Afghanistan, and then Iraq, and that's when I was getting into Comedy Central shows, and from a very young age I got into Jon Stewart. From I think I started watching Jon Stewart when I was about 10, and whenever there would be the reruns of his show on Comedy Central during the day, and whenever my parents wouldn't catch me watching it, a lot of my political perspective, and of course a lot of my anti-war, I think that's really the thing that brought me into politics, was just my want, at the start of the Iraq War, when Jon Stewart was one of the people fighting against it. I think I'm not saying Jon Stewart put that in my head, but that's where my political activism or my political opinions kind of started, with anti-war, Iraq war kind of movements. And from then I always define my politics as socialist. And even from the the 2004 elections, when I wanted John Kerry to win, I would be describing my political opinions as socialist or left wing, and so from then, then you get into puberty and high school. I would always kind of be a more of the left leaning person. And when you grow up in suburban America, where there's a lot of conservatives, you always get a lot of backlash for that. And I guess that's what maybe that's what I wanted, to shake up the system, because so much of what was around me when I was younger was conservative. I grew up in a a Catholic family. My entire family are very devout, right wing Catholics. Don't say Christian. They're Catholics. Uh, don't say Christian. Uh, yeah, my parents, Trump supporters, voted for Trump. Hardcore Republicans their entire lives, voted for Bush, Mitt Romney, Reagan. They've been conservatives their entire life, my parents, and they sent me to I I'm not sure how many years it was, but I went to Catholic grade school, middle school, and high school. Uh, and also like pre-K and nursery. So I think I might have an accumulative uh it might be 13 or 14 years of of Catholic education, which is, I'm not sure if you know this, conservative. Yeah. Uh so I think maybe some of my Marxist tendencies really came from, not wanting to be a part of that kind of establishment. Uh, but growing up around so many conservatives and knowing so many conservative people in white suburban America, I think it really kind of gave me a good sense of the media. As in, I've never watched Fox News, but I've never really given that much credence to any of it. I remember being in like grade school, like 8th grade, and like freshman in high school, and just like watching television news, which would like the MSNBCs and the CNNs, and I remember just not getting anything from it. Like, it wasn't saying anything to me. To me, it was just like the other side of the coin of Fox News. Uh, it was just like kind of watching the Super Bowl with the Reds versus Blues, and it just no substance to any of it. Uh, so I always had a very kind of heavy mistrust for the media, and even as time went on, even especially into the presidency of Barack Obama, Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert, people I would have I had a great admiration for, especially Jon Stewart, for all those years. As the Obama administration started, I started to hate them too, because Barack Obama's a liar. He lied about everything he was gonna do. He didn't do any of it. He has no accomplishments. He has accomplishments. They are murder and treading on our liberties and our privacy, and being an economic fascist, economic slavery. And make no mistake, what we're living in now, most of the people in the world are living in a form of economic slavery. But so so yeah, let's get into the transition of the Bush era to the Obama era as in my life. So I guess I first became skeptical of Barack Obama, when he started, when he gave Citigroup the full reign, or well, not full, well, obviously yes, full reign of who would be in his cabinet, and all of the banksters went into his cabinet, and all of the banksters went free. I mean, my father lost his job because of the economic collapse in the Bush era, and Barack Obama campaigned on the redistribution of wealth. Like, he even campaigned on that in 2008, and he did nothing by way of accomplishing that. So Barack Obama is obviously, I don't even want to say a fraud. Barack Obama is a monster. Like, Barack Obama has to have some sort of mental problem to be able to do the things he did. He has to have some sort of personality disorder. But I'm not a mental health professional, but yeah, but so as the Obama era started, you we started to see that he had no intention of fulfilling any type of, I don't even want to say Marxist ideology. Of course he wasn't going to do that, but nothing, not healthcare, not education. And I have student debt right now. I have student debt. I told you how I have an MFA. So yeah, I have student debt out the yang that I can barely pay for. And I'm still on my parents' healthcare plan. I'm still, so yeah, even the small things, even the catching us up with the rest of the world, which is not even, it's not even socialism. It's just it's where the rest of the world is. He didn't even accomplish that. So as the Obama era went on, I would say I got more radicalized. Uh, and I wouldn't even call it radicalized. My political opinion changed so much from the way I thought the world was when, uh, you know, before, when George Bush was president, or not the, I from the entire Obama era was a huge transformative process for me, especially realizing that people like Jon Stewart were completely full of shit and that like corporate media is a death trap. But at the when Obama campaigned in 2008, I thought things like, yeah, the Democratic Party had any interest of helping the people, and that the CIA doesn't have nefarious interests. I mean, I was against the wars then, but I wasn't for 9/11 truth. Then that took a little more time in my life. But yeah, as the Obama era went on, I started to learn more and more from the likes of Chris Hedges, and I guess, yeah, Chris Hedges is a big one. Chris Hedges is one of the, he should be at the head of the media, which proves that we live in a corporate fascist state. But yeah, I became more and more of a anti-establishment kind of person. I started getting a lot of different news sources from a lot of different places. I didn't get them before, and yeah, the Obama era changed me, and I don't want to say it made me bitter, but it certainly made me lose faith in our establishment government completely, which brings us to our people's movement of of to take these down the establishment government. I mean, that's what this channel is about. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. That in 2007, if you'd said to me, we need a people's movement of like, and to take down the establishment government, and like you told me conservatives would be involved and like Republicans would be involved, I'd be like, what? No. And I guess that proves to how severely brainwashed I was by the media and by Jon Stewart and all that bullshit. But yeah, now at this moment in my life, which is really what we need to solve this problem, is a people's movement to take down the. You could get stage 5 cancer at any time of your life, or like a curable cancer. Like, there are ways of going about it to kind of exercise that cancer if you want to survive. And if we want to survive, we need to take down the establishment corporate fascist state. But I guess that would bring us to Bernie Sanders, the Bernie Sanders campaign, where I mean, I had always been involved with politics and done research and stayed up to date on current events, but I never campaigned for Obama. I never campaigned for anyone. I mean, I had done a lot of protesting, especially when I was in college, but Bernie Sanders was really the first political campaign that I got involved in, and so in I don't know, it was just I have a lot of problems with Bernie Sanders. If you wanna know my problems with Bernie Sanders, again, the Sane Progressive is really a great source. Debbie's a great source of real reasons to be upset with Bernie Sanders, especially concerning election fraud and how the State Department now controls all of our elections. Oh God. And if that doesn't prove that to you that, we live in a banana republic sham democracy, then nothing will. You're a complete brainwashed moron. But Bernie Sanders, his campaign was really the first time I went out for a politician, and of course got my heart broken by that man. But yeah, I was living, I'm in Brooklyn, and so Bernie Sanders campaign, I was working in Brooklyn to phone bank, canvas, going to meetings, and meeting a lot of new people, which was really one of the best parts about it, which is why all of the protests now, the Women's March, just check out Sane Progressive's channel to figure out the problems we have with or she has, and that I agree with a lot of the protests, how they're corporately funded by the likes of George Soros. But it is a great thing. No, George Soros does fund a lot of the protests, but it is a great thing when people get together, which is what Bernie Sanders did. If you could say anything good about what Bernie Sanders did in his campaign, and he did a lot of good. I'm not trying to divide people here, but I just want to be realistic about what's going down. But yeah, everyone got together, and he helped people see what the corporate fascist media was doing, even though he's like worshiping it now. But he really brought a lot of people together with social media, with rallies, with everything, to really help spread the issues. And it was a magical time. I don't want to get all hokey about it, but from the fall of 2005 up to Philadelphia, it was a really crazy time. It was really working with all the Bernie supporters and having all of these different actual progressive movements come together. It was really amazing to see it. And I saw Bernie in Prospect Park, and there were thousands of people out, and it was amazing to see that. A guy calling himself a socialist in a country that kills socialists, and thousands of people not being afraid to go out and speak their minds and communicate with each other. It was just fantastic. And that's really what we want to do with this people's movement. We want that, but with everyone, with all of the people. We want to exchange ideas and come together and come up with solutions and create political action. We want to create change. But yeah, so the Bernie Sanders movement, that was a big part of my life, I guess. I not really, but it was certainly a great time. And we got a lot of change, but yeah, it was. I lost my train of thought here, but yeah, but at that point in my life, last year, I had no belief that Bernie Sanders would ever get the nomination. Of course, the system is rigged for Hillary Clinton. I told people, of course, the entire system is rigged, and we have no democracy, we have no say. And I never had any affectations that Bernie Sanders would be the nominee. Are you kidding? And it was because, I mean, there's obviously so much that went into it, but what Sane Progressive Debbie talks about is the election fraud. And whatever, I'm just using Debbie as a example here. Everyone is talking about the election fraud. Anybody who has any respectable political opinion is talking about the fact that our election systems are completely fraudulent. Of course, there's voter suppression and minority voter suppression. Of course, this is happening. Greg Palast has done great work, and a lot of people have done great work on this. Of course, this is happening, but also it's our election system, our the electronic election system, and we have no transparency into it, and we need to change this immediately. And also another reason why Bernie Sanders would never get the nomination is because of the media blackout. Bernie Sanders was running for president for months. There were contests being held, and no one in the American psyche, or what the media was putting out, had any idea who Bernie Sanders even was. That's disgusting. This is a complete banana republic, a complete sham democracy. So Bernie dropped out, and then my allegiances went to Jill Stein, who I'm a big fan of. I don't really want this to be a podcast about gushing over people, especially potential politicians, but Jill Stein is fantastic. Her policies are really fantastic. She would have been a fantastic president, and I guess that's might be part of the reason why I'm starting doing this podcast now, because there's just so much hate going around from brainwashed idiots who are trying to pin everything on anything else besides the Democratic Party and Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. Okay, that's the fact of it. We, third party voters. I've been attacked so much on social media, and the funny thing is that it's the same exact kind of attacks I would be getting when I was supporting Bernie Sanders and working to get Bernie Sanders to be the nomination. It's the same shit. But now, these frauds who attack you, these Democratic lackey frauds, they'll attack you, but they'll worship Bernie Sanders now. They hate Jill Stein, but they'll worship Bernie Sanders after months of shitting on him because of Bernie Sanders understanding that he is the only viable candidate to go against Donald Trump. And of course, what the media is doing now, I don't want to get into the Russia hacking bullshit. I don't want to get into the corporate fascist media. I'll do separate videos on those subjects. But I voted for Jill Stein, and now it's January 30th, 2017. It is my birthday again. I am 25 years old today. That might have something to do with it. I don't know. But now we have a Trump presidency. We have, and we're seeing it. We're really seeing it. And the media is really telling you every single thing you don't need to know. And we have such a sensationalist media, and they're destroying our culture from the inside out. They'll divide people on anything to do with Trump except the things that actually matter about Trump. I'm reading this right now. Steve Bannon, the kill state, the Barack Obama warrantless illegal assassination drone program that Barack Obama said was not a problem, and a bunch of Hillary Clinton lackeys who attack me for supporting Bernie Sanders and supporting Jill Stein. They attack me for speaking out against and saying, like, if this ever got into Barack Obama is the wrong hands, he's a murderer, but if this ever got into different hands that might scare, guilty fake progressives, then you won't be saying the same thing. And this is me speaking to a Barack Obama supporter or a Hillary Clinton supporter. And so now we have Steve Bannon, who this murder state has been just dropped into this psychopath's lap. Steve Bannon this guy is ridiculous. If any like Trump supporters are listening, like, you actually think Donald Trump and Steve Bannon would be the people to take down like the Federal Reserve and the deep state intelligence community and the surveillance state, and the GMOs? You really think these people are gonna be the ones who've always profited off of it? You think these are the people who are going to be dismantling this? No, they're gonna be making it stronger. But yeah, so we're at present day now. We have all of these Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton fake progressives coming out now for the way the United States treats Muslims and brown people in different countries who never did anything to us, because Dick Cheney blew up the World Trade Center and then we went to go kill them. I mean, these fake progressives, where were you when Barack Obama was murdering people in 8 countries? Where were you? What were you doing? These people were fine with it. Just a few months ago, if you talk to any of these fake progressives, they would say that Barack Obama was keeping us safe by bombing innocent people who did nothing to us. Bombing 8 countries of innocent people. We've killed millions in almost 2 decades of perpetual warfare for profit. And for 8 years, these people have been saying that Muslims are bad, they're scary, we need to treat them like dogs. And then at the blow of the sheepdog corporate fascist fake progressive media at their whistle, now all these fake progressive Hillary Clinton zombies are now completely with Muslims. Now they love Muslims. Well, Barack Obama was murdering millions of them, and you weren't saying anything. But now that the corporate fascist media is saying a different thing, you're just going along with them. And I don't trust these people. I don't feel, I'm looking for independent thinkers on this podcast who have a varying spectrum of ideas. That's what I'm looking for in an audience. Frankly, these Donald Trump supporters, these always Trumpers and these always Clintoners and these always Obama-ers, they are victims of a corporate fascist media that has essentially brainwashed them. This is mind control, folks. You can not follow this podcast, that's fine, but what the corporate fascist media is doing is nothing short of mind control. I talk to these people who are victims of it, and they have no idea what is going on in their head. They just wait for the media to tell them what to think. It's frightening. It's frankly very frightening. It's horrifying to me that this is the way that so many people seem to be, and that really just speaks more to the need of a people's movement to take down the establishment, which is also the establishment media. The people need to take over the media, and that big smiley happy Rachel Maddow, John Oliver bullshit face that people trust implicitly and listen to whatever they say and take whatever they say as their own opinions. We need to take control of that. And our people's movement needs to be the one who's controlling the big smiling happy face, and we need to make that big smiling happy face to say, you need to be an independent thinker, and you need to do your own research, and you need to think for yourself. But the media also needs to be, making research much easier for people to do. Television media, what's more inaccessible and like non-interface than television media just telling you what to do? but we need to completely revolutionize media. We need to completely revolutionize government and our political system. If you want more ideas about, those kind of broader strokes, I would look into the Venus Project with Jacques Fresco, or the Zeitgeist movement with Peter Joseph. Those are another two people who I will be talking about a lot on this podcast. Peter Joseph of the Zeitgeist movement and Jacques Fresco of the Venus Project. And these are two people, these are people who talk about ways of creating a sustainable world in all senses, in all, the political system, the infrastructure, the communities, everything. So go look those people up. I'll definitely be doing a lot more videos on that, but the point of this video is to introduce the people's movement, to create the discussion about how we take down the establishment state and what we put up in its place. Again, I'm a Marxist, and I'm, some people might call me a utopian or a futurist or a transhumanist. I might be those things, but I'll define myself as Marxist, because that's really where I feel my, political perspective lies. But what do any of these things mean, really? I don't know. I honestly can't tell you. But this is a people's movement to take down the establishment power, which we need to do very badly. Like, don't think I'm a Trump supporter just because I'm ripping on Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton for being as evil as Trump, and that's the point. These people, Donald Trump and Barack Obama, are puppets, and they're no different. If you think anything, like, Obama set up the same kind of Muslim ban in 2011 against the people of Iraq. He did the same thing as Trump. So all of these Barack Obama supporters who are now screaming about what Trump is doing, and I agree, scream and go protest, but understand Barack Obama was no better. He did the same things, and the point is that Donald Trump had no decision in this, and Barack Obama had no decision in that. They're puppets being controlled by the same 1% of the top 1% fucking corporate fascist psychopaths at the top of our world, hoarding everything and sending every other person in this world into either abject poverty or economic slavery. And that's what's happening, and that's what needs to be addressed. So, and it will be. So this is only the introduction video to my channel. I'm not sure what my next video will be. If you have any ideas about what you would want me to make a video about, just let me know. Put it in the comments. What else can I say? I guess I said exactly what an introduction would be. Again, my name is Sandy Frank, and this is my political podcast, hosted by a Marxist, but centered around bringing together all political ideas of the people to create solutions, basically. Not to create communism or libertarianism, but to actually find common ground solutions that can give us our democracy back. We don't have a democracy. We don't have a republic. We don't have a democratic republic. We have a corporate fascist state that is going global, and we need to shut it down, and we need to do it quickly, or we're all going to die in a nuclear wave of fire. They're going to kill us. Again, you turn off this channel if you don't like this shit. I don't really give a shit. We know that people like Henry Kissinger and all these people, they want to depopulate the earth. They want to drastically cut down the population size, and they're going to do it through nuclear weapons, and they're going to go into the fucking bunker in the Denver airport and live down there for a few years, and we're just cattle to them. We're not real people to them. And so we need to organize as if our establishment government and our establishment media doesn't have anything to fucking do with us. They want to hurt us, and we need to stop them from doing it. So again, please subscribe and leave a nice comment or any type of comment. Start the discussion. But mainly, make your own content. If you don't like what I'm saying, and if you don't like what the corporate establishment is saying, or if you don't like what Sane Progressive is saying, or what independent media is saying, make your own. Do it yourself. Put your opinions out there. Try to get your opinion out there, which is what I'm trying to do right now. And again, I've never done anything like this. I'm a type B kind of introverted person. I'll talk politics. I talk politics a lot with people on social media and stuff like that. But videos, I don't know. And podcasts. We'll see how this goes. But again, Sandy Frank, thank you for listening. Please comment, subscribe, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.